just wipe the lens there. So as you can probably see, I'm setting Rosie, and that's because she's booked in next week for a date with the electric suntan machine, or the welder. Inner sill near side, outer sill near side, outer sill offside, and then we did everything else for the mott. So literally I'm just sitting in her to see if she'd start, and she started straight up because I charged the battery the other day, but because it's not being used, it knackers the battery in like a week, a couple of weeks, because obviously your radio memory and all that lot still draws. So I'm sitting here for a bit. I've just started her. It's saying it's only 0.5 degrees outside, even though it's thawed quite quickly. It's been quite an hard frost today, and yeah, there it is. You can probably hear that the Webasto's just kicked in. Can you hear it? Brings back memories of nights away in trucks. And a lot of the Rover 75s were fitted with Webasto fuel burning heaters under the bonnet, because diesels especially, but these Rovers are notoriously slow to warm up. They just are. Usually by the time I've sort of done 5 or 6 miles, it's about coming warm. But the idea of the Webasto was to get warm air into the car, you know, quicker, and it does a pretty damn good job actually. I've just turned the fans on, and it's yeah, starting to come warm already, which is good. Now I've done the engine mounts, but I've still got a slight vibration through the steering wheel. Now I did check the steering column bolts not so long ago, and they were all hand tight, literally hand tight. So I've actually tightened all of those up. But it's one of those cars where it's really weird, because at an idle it'll rattle, like I've got rattles now. Part of our job as test drivers is, you could call it quality assurance, because a lot of it is nitpicking. Can you hear any rattles? Is there any wind noise through the door seals, etc, etc, you know, little stuff like that. Basically you're critiquing the car for the market it's aimed for, whether that be, you know, like a teenage daughter or your mum or whoever. So other things are going to bother different people in different ways. But I get in the car now, and I can literally get aggravated by anything and everything. Actually, I know what's rattling. It's just it's something I've done. But it's really funny, because the Rover's one of them cars that's really quiet when it's going along. There's no real bumps, rattles, shakes, crashes, bangs, anything like that. So yeah, it's just one of the things. But because we have to look for them, you know, for a living, the slightest thing annoys me in cars, doesn't matter what it is. But it's you can forget about it a lot of the time and just get on with it. So we're just sitting here letting her idle. It's funny because the fuel light's been on, and I've said this before, the fuel gauge on the 75, I don't know whether it's all Rovers, but certainly on the 75, is more of a range gauge, which sounds absurd, but it adapts to your style of driving, which is odd, because it can fluctuate by as much as 1/8 of a tank, 1/4 of a tank, depending on your driving. Because the fuel light's on now, but the needle is off the red. It's well off the red, but the fuel light's on. But sitting here for 5 minutes, that can go out, or a mile or two up the road it can go out and the fuel level will go up. because it's working out how much fuel you're using. So it's a little bit strange at first, and it some people panic about it, but you soon do get used to it. I'm just getting rid of all the condensation out of the exhaust at the minute as well. It's still only 0.5 degrees, so as it warms up it's going to be chucking exhaust smoke out. But it's yeah, you should be glad to get it back on the road again. And then the plan is to take the SLK like off the road, because the wings need attention. It's the typical, you know, early 2000s Mercedes problem of shite metal. We've already actually had 3/4 of one side done. One of the rear arches was really bad when we bought him, I suppose. So we had that done, but the front wings are going right on the front corners. They go, and there's a mounting point behind, and it collects. I suppose it just collects grime. It's actually behind. It's behind all the wheel arch liners and stuff, but it does get muck in there. Of course, it sits there, and over the years it rusts through, and that's exactly what it's done. Now, I've got to take the wings off anyway, and then we'll see if they're just worth sanding down and redoing, or whether we get new wings, because they are available. But the wings that are available are for the Mark 1, which has a side repeater, and the facelift ones don't. It could soon be patched up. You know, you could soon get rid of it, or you put a little fake vent over it, or a Mercedes badge or something like that, so it can be overcome. It's not a big problem, but other than that, SLK is going fine. I've got to get front wheels off and just check the front brakes and all this lot, because I like to do a brake check sort of once a year anyway. Did the rear pads not so long ago, so I know they're alright, but the front near side brake feels a little bit eager, just a bit, but a little bit eager. So I'm thinking we might have the startings of a sticky caliper, which will just be a pin usually. So, you know, caliper off, clean the sliding pins, slap it all back together again, and that should all be good. No progress on Pinky, because it's just been too effing cold, basically, in the shed. Other than that, we're ticking away. Wasn't very well yesterday, so we'll see. But in work again tomorrow, Sunday morning. So we'll see. We're ticking along. I'm quite busy at the moment, which is it's good in one way, but really irritating in another, because I do quite like my time at home. If you're at home, you don't earn anything, do you? And I'm not one of them channels that has, you know, 1,000 Patreons, so I don't have to work. But, you know, it might come eventually. You never know. You never know. We might win the lottery tonight. Yeah, you know, again, you just don't know, do you? But it's, yeah, it is what it is. So we're ticking away quite nicely. So I think that'll do, don't you? So this is your weekend update. Oh yeah, I had some news. Today I was quite unhappy about, not that I can do anything about it. I've just heard the planning permission for Coventry Airport's gone through. They're going to actually build on the airport, which is sad, because I took my first flying lesson there, and it's the approach to Coventry and all this lot is dead easy, because basically you just follow the A46 in. That is literally the approach. Also, if you took off on runway 5, I think it's 2, 3 and 5, as in 23 and 5, if you took off on runway 5, got to 1,000 feet and knocked the engine off, you could practically glide into Leicester. Not Leicester City, Leicester Airport. So yeah, I should be sad to see that go, but I think the museum's staying. I don't think that's part of the development. But either way, it's still going to be sad, because, you know, that's been there decades. I think possibly World War II, and it used to be Armstrong Whitworth before that. So it's going to be a sad time of yet another airfield being built on, because some twat of a council has got a backhander, because that's the way it works. We all know it works that way. You know, there was I think there was a sports ground in Gloucestershire somewhere, owned by the council, which was the size of 4 football fields, yet apparently only sold for £10,000. Sounds a bit dodgy, that. And, oh yeah, they built on it. So, you know, it's just the way of the world, I suppose. There's nothing me and you can do about it, other than become a counsellor and receive a massive backhander. But there you go. So yeah, so there's your update. A little aside there. There is no snackage in the vehicle, no breakfast items. I had a bacon sandwich this morning. Watched a good video this morning, brought back some good memories. My mate, you'll see him probably comment on my stuff as well, Riggs Jr. He came over from America the other year, and he went out in a friend's sidecar. My friend had a Ural combination, and he went out in the sidecar, and he you know, went down to the Isle of Wight in it and stuff like that. And he just took a little video of it, and I watched that this morning, and that brought back some brilliant memories, because it's real good fun in that sidecar. I was surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that if the pennies rolled in, I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't have a play with a combination at some point, or a trike. You know, I'm sort of warming to the idea now. But yeah, it's probably because I'm an old fart. You see, I'm 50 next month. I know I only look 25, but yeah. And it's great, because after my 40th birthday I decided I wasn't going to care. You know, I don't care what people think of me, or I just don't care what other people's opinions are about me. That's their problem, not mine. And life got significantly easier. And now I've noticed, especially after the new year, as I'm approaching 50, it's the new 18, that I just don't care, full stop. You know, I've got this far, how much more can they do? So it was, yeah, I'm quite looking forward to being 50, to be honest. It's one of them, isn't it? Turn that off so you can hear me. You probably can't hear me. You've probably been gassing away and you couldn't hear a thing over the fans. But she's actually coming warm now. So she's ran for a bit. I'll give her another run in the week. And of course, as you all know, it is, even though she's got no MOT, it is legal to drive it to a place of repair, and that's exactly where it's going. It's going to Uncle Steve at Toad Speed, and he's having a date with the electric suntan machine. So what I'm going to ask Steve to do is just take some photos of the work. I don't expect him to film anything. He certainly doesn't want to be on camera, anything like that. I'm cool with that, but just to show us what it's like, and then I can include that in an update video. So that's all for now, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Ta-ra.